Circle if anybody would like to join.
Circle up. We just do a little quick prayer beforehand. Ice cold. It's ice cold, I'm sorry. These two guys' hands are so warm.
I'm used to it.
Oh my God, you're so warm.
My heart's
Hey, that's what
Unity was founded 130 years ago on prayer, so we always begin and end in prayer. And so what I thought we would do is just maybe, since we're all here now physically, and thank you for bearing the cold weather to be here this morning, but why don't we just take a deep breath and bring in this moment and let out any concerns we have of the day, knowing that if we choose to pick them up, they'll be right there at the door on your way out. But this next hour or so will be just for community, for union with each other and God, and to enjoy this time together. So if you want to just look within and feel free to speak out a word for today, something to set the intention for you for today. For me, I'd like to express and experience inner peace.
strength.
Patience.
Alright, so thank you all for sharing your intention and knowing that we just hold that in our heart and support and love one another and know that whatever we hold in mind does return in kind. So as we go about this time together of peace and unity and togetherness, we just thank you, Mother, Father, God, for this beautiful opportunity to be together today. Thank you for the spiritual community that has been here for many, many decades, and all the loving people who have come and gone through these doors and made this place possible. We're so grateful for that. We're so grateful for this unity teaching. To live in a time where we can explore ideas of God and life that are way beyond the norm, that help set us free, and not be concerned about persecution for that. We live in a country where there's freedom, the ability to pursue what we choose. Thank you, God, for this moment. Thank you for each other. Thank you for this incredible day that we have. And may we all go through the day with you in our heart and express love and joy to each other. So it is. Amen. All right. Well, let's have a great service.
Everyone. As we start every service, I would like to light the Christ candle. It's cold. Never get it. We light this candle as a symbol and a reminder to all of us that the divine spirit is alive and lives in and through each one of us. Before we begin, if you have $1 or $2, we do just collect $1 or $2 or some change, anything extra you have to help feed our community. You can walk up as we sing our opening song. If you would stand, please. And if you'd like to come up, put money in.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Just take a moment to just look at all the lovely faces. And all is well. Just as chaplains, we're just so blessed and pleased to be here to serve you. And just want to remind you of our prayer box. Any concerns, any gratitude, whatever thoughts you'd like to have raised up and held in divine consciousness, just be happy to place that in the box. You have slips in the pew pockets and also on the prayer table in the foyer. And these are prayed over for 30 days here at Unity of Fort Richey. Then we send them on to Unity Village and they're prayed over for another 30 days. And we're also available before service and after to just serve you in prayer. If after the service, you know, sometimes your heart gets filled and you just want to pause before going back out into the world, we're there to just hold you. Be silent if you wish to be and just be there with you. And it's just our joy, our pleasure. It nourishes us and it just nourishes the community and our congregation. And thank you for being here. And our word for today is world peace. And just want to take a moment to just go within to your heart space. Release all concerns, whatever you left at home, driving through the traffic here, just let it all go. I rest my heart in the peace of God. Around the world, so many souls are joining me in my prayer for peace. While the news may give more attention to points of conflict, there is a striving and yearning in the human heart for peace. My prayer supports that desire and strengthens the bonds of love that lead to greater harmony. I begin my affirmation of world peace with a soft and open heart. I am comforted as I realize the advances the world's people have made over the generations to live together harmoniously. I make an effort to live a more peaceful life and bridge the gaps of understanding between myself and those around me. I focus my attention upon our shared desire, a desire for a peaceful world of cooperation and goodwill. This is my heartfelt prayer. And from Isaiah chapter 26, verse 3. Those of steadfast mind you keep in peace because they trust in you. And so it is. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Elaine. Unity is a positive, practical path to spiritual living. We acknowledge all paths to God. And wherever you are on your spiritual path, just know you are welcome here. And if you're watching from Facebook or YouTube, your presence is welcome as well. And if you would like us and subscribe, that would bless us. Thank you. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our special guest speaker today. Many of you know him, but some of you don't, this is Greg Yarmesch, and we're so blessed to have him here today. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Greg. Prior to becoming acquainted with Unity 15 years ago, he felt really blessed walking through these doors. He came to Unity Spiritual Center Fort Richey, and we were singing a song that we used to sing all the time. That was, "Come on in, come on in, you're welcome home." And he felt something he'd never felt before, and I think it changed his life. So, he's been on this spiritual path ever since. And he's given and shared so much of that he's learned with us, and by coming and speaking and giving us lessons. And I know he's talked to people before and after church, so he's truly a blessing. He is the father of 2 boys. He has one here today, which is Silas, but he also has another son, Nick. He does actively share the Unity principles with them. and other people out in the community. He pursues a higher consciousness, teaching, demonstrating unity principles in his workplace and with his friends, and friends in recovery, which are the most valuable things that he can do with his time, he truly feels. So, I'd like to introduce to you guys today, Greg Yarmesch.
Thank you. You know, I find it an amazing gift that I'm being welcomed into a church, because 15 years ago, before I walked into this church here, this was definitely not, church wasn't my place. I felt very out of place at church, and my spiritual upbringing to that point was one that reinforced separateness, reinforced the idea of a punitive God up in the sky, and really reinforced a life of struggle. And you know, I had experienced a lot of that stuff in my childhood, and so it's such a privilege to be here, knowing that this is where my journey really began. 15 years ago, walking through those doors, as Linda shared. And many of you, I remember meeting that time, and some of you are new friends, and some we haven't met yet. But I thank you all for welcoming me back into this church. And congratulations on not only having a new minister, but also a new church. So I find it an additional privilege to have one of the very last talks here at Unity Court Richey. Not the last talk, but one of the few last talks. So make sure you're here next week. Don't not come here next week. Yeah, so, you know, several weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, when I was collaborating with Ann and Linda and coming to speak here, at the time, you know, Linda asked me, what I'd like to talk about. And at that time, what was at the forefront of my life experience was a great lesson in forgiveness and releasing resentments. And, you know, and it was such a gift to go through that experience. So when she asked for a title, I'm like, boom, here you go. But then a few weeks ago, we recognized that there's a need to do the white stone ceremony, which is such a wonderful, wonderful service. So today's service will be kind of a 2-for-1 deal. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about some of the barriers that we experience to love and forgiveness, and then we'll roll into the white stone ceremony. So I'll pay close attention to the clock, and we will make this as seamless as possible. But so I brought something to show this wonderful analogy. How many of you were in the military? How many of you have a career? Yeah, quite a few. So do you all know what a rucksack is? A rucksack? Yes, so rucksack, you know, is a big backpack with lots of stuff in it, right? So when you go out on a journey, you have all your needs in there, and those things can get really heavy. Well, there's a form of exercise today where you actually have a version of a rucksack, which is basically this wonderful backpack here. This backpack is designed specifically to hold a lot of weight. You might be wondering, what in the world does this have to do with anything? You know? And, well, I've partaken in this exercise regimen here. And the aim is to take some heavy steel weights. This one happens to be 10 pounds. And you put it in the rucksack, zip it up, put it on your back, and you go exercise. You go walk, you go jog, or whatever, and it weighs you down, so it creates resistance, right? You know? So there's many different versions of these plates, and you can add more and more in here. Well, it dawned on me when I was contemplating my talk for today that forgiveness, or my lack of forgiveness, has been like a really, really heavy rucksack that I've carried around my whole life. You know? And it was such an amazing gift to be able to understand, and I didn't know that I was carrying this heavy sack with me until the sack was dropped. And so part of this process of letting go, you know, last week or possibly the week before, you did a burning bowl ceremony, right? And that was to let go of patterns and behaviors and thoughts that no longer serve you. Well, I'm going to encourage you to consider this one as one more, just in case it applies to you. I'm not saying that it does, but maybe it'll resonate with you. But I think some of the analogies that I'd like to give is that along the way of life, particularly when I was younger, there were events that happened in my life that were traumatic to me. You know, some others may look at it and say, it's not a big deal, I had a worse off situation, whatever. And this definitely isn't a one-upmanship situation, but to me, it was traumatic, you know? And one of the things that I grew up with was an alcoholic father. One that was not present, verbally abusive to me, and someone that I was really afraid of. So it was hard to connect with it. And so, in my young mind, I felt really hurt by that experience. And many of you, I see some of you nodding your heads, so you have a similar experience as a lot of people do. And what I've done my whole life is I carried around some heavy weight around my dad, And I put this 10-pound weight in my rucksack, and I just carried it most of my life. And so, I basically don't realize it's there. You walk around through life, and you put it in and zip it up, and then all of a sudden, life becomes a little more challenging to walk around with 10 extra pounds. It's not that big of a deal, but, it makes life a little inconvenient, So, as this lack of forgiveness and lack of understanding, it's like this cumulative weight that I've carried for such a long time, and then I had this other event that happened, and this was a really major event for me. And this event was, my mom told me at a pretty young age, that I was a bad boy, and that God was going to punish me for being bad. And at that age, I believed it. That really reinforced the damning God up in the sky, right? So I had this awful weight in my backpack here. Now, I've got 30 pounds of weight on the back. And it's a little more inconvenient to go through life, But this weight impacts every situation, every event in my life. It's almost like having this weight and this set of glasses that I see life through. And it's discolored, it's distorted. It really has almost like a darkening effect on my life experience because this burden of a lack of forgiveness, a lack of understanding. Now that event with my mom, perhaps her way was such that prevented me from living a life of crime. I don't know, I don't want to look at it as like, she did something bad or wrong. But my whole life I thought that way until I started doing some deep spiritual work. And I started to understand the mindset in which she was in, the consciousness in which she, experienced. The way that she was raised was very punitive. It was very, down-putting. And that was the only tool she had in her tool belt, right? I was the youngest of 5 kids. And by the time I was born, she was exhausted. She was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was always gone and traveling and whatever. So she was just doing whatever she could do to corral all these kids up, Well, I went through life thinking that whenever I made a mistake, I was bad, and I could be punished for it, And so that was my experience. And we know in the Unity teachings, what we hold in mind, returns in kind. So I have a lot of life experiences that reinforced again and again how I'm not worthy of good things, how I'm bad, how I don't deserve good things. And that led me to the point where I started to struggle with alcohol. The only thing I could do to escape all that burden was to drink. I didn't have the method of being able to know any better. And this is a 45 pound. And if you can see, I could barely even lift it with one hand. Now I put this inside the bag, right? And now I'm walking around with 80-something pounds. So you see me struggling just to put it on. Now, I'm not going to try, but do you think I can jump pretty well? Do you think I can bend over and tie my shoes right now pretty well? Do you think I can love you the way that I could without all this weight, this burden? Do you think I could see Steve and maybe what he does or doesn't do clearly with his burden on my shoulder, or my son Silas or Mark or Lyndon? We get breath, heavy breathing. Life is hard and arduous with these burdens. And the thing is that we are choosing to carry this. What I learned about myself is that I had to give up all hope for a better past. I had to realize that what everybody was doing and what I was doing was the best that we could with what light we had, with what consciousness we had in that moment. And what happens is when you start to do some really heavy spiritual living, you're able to set down that, my gosh, wow. I didn't practice that before I had this wonderful idea. Clearly, I don't rock with all that weight on a normal basis, so I'm not built up for that yet. But even just holding it for that couple minutes is like, holy geez, what a burden, you know? So I think what I'm really encouraging y'all to look within, as we go into this white stone ceremony, and you think about what you released for last year in the burning bowl ceremony, is there any resentment that you're still holding on to? Is it a mom or a dad? Is it a loved one or an ex, or maybe a current spouse, or whatever? There are these players in our lives that impact us, and I know for me, when I was looking through the lenses of the victim, I could never see the gift that they were trying to give me, which was a reflection of my belief system. I thought that I was unworthy of good things, and therefore these very challenging life situations would show up. And when I started to question that, when I got a chance to walk a mile in my dad's shoes as an alcoholic, I got a chance to walk in my mom's shoes, having a punitive mindset towards life, you know, I had an opportunity to really look at all these things that I had done in my life, and I did it out of innocent ignorance. If I knew how deadly they were going to be to me or how detrimental, I wouldn't have done it, you know? But such is the way of consciousness. As we let go, we kind of let that burden and we lift up. We get to see things more clearly. We take off those glasses that obscure life, and it really makes a big impact on our ability to love and really connect with people. You know, the idea of unity, this church, unity is oneness. It's to heal the separation, the belief of separation, the belief that I'm over here and you're over there. And yes, while physically these bodies are separate from each other, the essence of each one of us is connected. And when you're carrying a bunch of weight around and a bunch of resentment, it's impossible to see that. At least it was for me. So as we go into this white stone ceremony, I'd encourage you to just think of just one relationship where you're maybe experiencing resentment. And maybe just go within, and we'll have this opportunity within the meditation. Is there just the desire? Can you conjure up the intention to let that go? It doesn't matter what happened. I understand that it's traumatic. I understand that it's hurtful. But the reality is that that's never going to change. The only way that we can transform the trajectory of our future is by letting go of those things that burden us, you know? And we have to give up hope for a better past. Because there's nothing that can be done that will change the past. The only thing we can do is stop letting it weigh us down in the present moment, so that, therefore, in the present moment, we can create something new for the future that'll be more advantageous. Does that ring home with everybody or anybody? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to explain what the white stone ceremony is. Many of you have been through this before, and for some of you who may be new to it, this is a really cool experience. In the book of Revelation, which, by the way, Revelation to me, it was like I was finally, like I came to unity, starting to understand the metaphysical meaning of the New Testament and Jesus' teachings, and they were so wonderful because there was a whole different world of his teaching that I wasn't able to see in my other spiritual studies, you know. So having a metaphysical interpretation of Bible verses was just, wow, it just sat at home with me. And then I got to the book of Revelation. I'm like, what in the world are they talking about here? So Revelation is a really interesting chapter, book in the Bible. And one of the things that I find is that there's, just like everything, it's like as we grow in consciousness, we're given more and more opportunity to open our eyes more and more, become more aware. And Revelation really, for me, it pushed against my old belief systems to help me recontextualize the way that I see things. So in Revelation 2:17, it says, "Let anyone who has an ear listen to what the Spirit is saying to the churches. To everyone who conquers or overcomes, I will give hidden manna. And I will give a white stone, and on the white stone is written a new name that no one knows except the one who receives it." So what is manna? Manna is like it's a spiritual food. It's spiritual teaching. It's a higher understanding. So it's not using our third dimensional brain, the ego mind that likes to count steps when we're going upstairs or likes to, that remembers how to tie our shoes. It's not that part of our mind. It's that higher mind that when we go into meditation, we go into that secret place. Well, that's where we're going to go in our meditation to learn what your word is that we're going to write on, that you'll write on the white stone. So here's a little background on the white stone and the significance of it. Because during the time of the Roman Empire, when you were released from prison, you were given a white stone. So you were to carry this stone no matter where you went. So everybody knew that you had been given like a clean slate. That you were relieved of your burden, that you're no longer, entangled or imprisoned, and that the Roman Empire recognized you as a citizen and that the Roman army would protect you. Kind of a cool, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's cool, The business part of me thinks, well, geez, maybe we can just sell these white stones on the black market. Just kidding. This was no small thing. We use the white stone to symbolize that we can leave behind whatever personal prison we may have created for ourselves. The white stone signifies, good Lord, letting this go, letting that go. It's gone. Yeah, now I can go pick that up whenever I want, but man, it feels good not to, So think about that as you're creating this, as you're going inside to find that word for you, is to leave that behind, whatever is not serving you anymore. This ceremony is an opportunity to start this new year fresh with no personal baggage. All right, ushers are going to pass out white stones and a pencil now, and if you would all be so kind to start that. I'm going to continue on as they pass them out, and there's nothing to do yet on the stone. Once you get it, you're going to get a pencil and a stone. There's nothing for you to do just yet. I'm going to talk for a little bit longer, and then we're going to get to the point where we go into meditation, and we reconnect, or we become aware of that Christ presence within, to find out what that word is. Okay? So as you grab this stone, when it's handed out to you, hold it in your hand. Recognize that it's a symbol of a new start. It's a fresh new beginning. No matter what has happened in your past, no matter what you did or didn't do, what you should or shouldn't have done, no matter what they did to you or what they didn't do to you or for you, you just let it all go. Because you can carry it around like that big rucksack for the rest of your life, and it could drive you into the ground, or it could drive you to drink, it could drive you to engage in behavior that no longer serves your well-being, or you could just turn your back to it. No matter what last year was like, God's love will wash it away. In Revelation 21:5, it says, "Behold, I make all things anew." I make all things anew. If any of you are in recovery, if any of you have done some deep spiritual work with the Course in Miracles, if any of you have studied a lot of the wonderful spiritual programs that are presented in Unity, and you have experienced a revelation, a shift in consciousness, a higher, like a moving up into a higher place, you know that that is a gift of grace. Like, it's like, I don't know how it happened, it just happened. It's a demonstration of love, the demonstration of unconditional love from the Creator. But it requires our desire to drop. Like, it requires our desire to let go and to turn our back on that heavy rucksack and not pick it up again. We're going to meditate and enter into a time of stillness, silence, and listening. We're going to listen with our hearts. You may question the name that comes to you. And just let it be. I've got to say, when I did this ceremony last week, a word came up for me that was like, oh. But as I sat more with it and meditated around it, I was like, oh, gosh, I get it. So, and I also want to say that if for whatever reason a word doesn't come to you or a name does not come to you, that's okay. This is not the one and only time and place that this can happen. So don't feel like, when you walk out the door, man, don't go there, because that's not going to help bring out that word. But inevitably, you might be driving home. Maybe you'll be making a sandwich for lunch, or making dinner tonight, or in the shower later, or whatever, and all of a sudden it'll come. And just when it comes, then go ahead and write it down on that stone. Okay? The name will reveal itself. So be still and listen without judging, and tell your inner critic to take a hike. Because, it's going to want to superimpose and say, no, Linda, that's not the one, that's not the one. You know what I'm talking about. If, for whatever reason, nothing definitive comes to you during the meditation, please don't worry. As I mentioned, take your stone home, meditate on it, and the answer, the word will come. Okay, does everybody have a stone then? All right. Why don't you take your stone and look at it? See its beauty. See its strength and purity. Contemplate the alchemy of this particular stone and know that it came into being as a result of many fires and storms that it has weathered through eons of time. This stone wasn't just created yesterday. It wasn't created last week or 50 years ago or 100 years ago. It's been around for a while, just like all of us. And the strength that we all get as we grow in consciousness as a result of going through life and experiencing challenges and growing from them. It's not like we get this, I wish this was the case, that there's some magic wand that gets waved over me and we become enlightened. I'm learning that that's not at least my path. I don't know about some of you, maybe y'all are struck beautiful and enlightened like some people have, but for me, it just requires a lot of work, But this stone is the same thing. It has taken billions of years to come into its current form and into your hands right now. Just like us, the white stone in each of us is constantly being transformed. It is being revitalized, awakened, and redeemed, just like each one of us. The white stone and the name that will be written on it is a symbol of our spiritual growth, whereby we can cancel out the old, discard the old way of thinking, and put an end to our habit of forgetting who we truly are and what we truly are. We are a privileged, beloved child of the Creator of the universe. And let's not forget that. I know I forget it a lot. I didn't even know it existed when I used to carry that backpack around with me. So as each of us partake in this spiritual food of ours, we become nourished and whole. The hidden manna is the vital life substance and energy of spirit, directly assimilating into our being. As this energetic process takes place within, we gain the knowledge of a new name within us, and more importantly, we gain an understanding of that new name, where it's going to lead us. My word was bold. It's not a word that I use a lot. But what's interesting is I thought about where that word was going to lead me. See, I've been a kind of a guy that hid my light under a barrel for a long time. See, I was really burdened by this, and I felt really bad about myself, so I kind of hid. But as I'm able to kind of allow my light to shine and pull that barrel off of me, it's leading me to a different place. And being bold is something that I typically wouldn't do. So think about that. Where will this take you? What is the new trajectory of your life? The new spiritual name is your true nature, and it is part of the great presence of life called the I Am. As you hold your white stone in your hand now, you are starting with a clean slate. So we're going to now go into that time of meditation. We're going to have a little bit of music in the background. I'm going to just share a little bit with you in this meditative state. I'm not going to talk much, but just a little bit. And we'll give you that time to connect, find the word if it comes up, and then write it down. Okay? So how about we all take one deep cleansing breath of light and just let out everything that is not light. Let's rest more deeply into our seats. Turn off this physical world. Go into that quiet space in your soul where the union with God is always present. I encourage you to consciously invite the activity of God into your heart and mind over the course of the next few minutes. Perhaps there's a new vision and a new mission, or a new quality that's waiting to be brought forth in you today. Give yourself permission to listen with an open mind and heart. What is your spiritual guidance for me in 2023? Please bypass my ego and make it clear to me. I am guided. I am supported. I am blessed. Ask for a deeper understanding. What steps are mine to take? As we come back to this place, become aware of our feet, our hands, our breath. And if the word hasn't come yet, that's okay. All is truly well. You haven't done anything wrong. You haven't missed the mark. It will come. If you do have a name, go ahead and write it down on your stone. you allow this word, this name to fill your whole being. Recognize that you're releasing the old and moving into the new now. And the trajectory of your life is changing for the good. There's always higher levels of consciousness available to us. There's always greater understandings available to us. And you are on that path. We are all on that path. We are guided, and we are supported, and we are loved. And you will receive that guidance, support, and love through this journey. And keep this stone with you. Put it in your pocket. Let it be a reminder to you throughout the whole year of what this new trajectory is. Because, from my own experience, we kind of forget. I have I forget that I was carrying this bag with me for a long time. So something like this white stone is a great reminder for us to get into a new pattern of trajectory, to stay in it. So as we wrap up this part of our service, we'd just like for us to affirm that there is only one presence and one power in our lives and in the universe. God, the good, omnipotent. Will you say that with me? There is only one presence and one power in my life and in the universe. God, the good, omnipotent. So it is. Amen. Oh.
Thank you so much. Everybody, one more time. Big hand. Thank you so much for switching things up, though, and accommodating us doing the white stone service. I know you do a lovely job, so thank you. I'd also like to thank everyone else that participated, and that would be Gail and Jeremiah and our ushers and greeters. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we do, so thank you. And the prayer chaplains, again, they're available for you after the service. If you'd like to speak with the prayer chaplain, just approach them and they'll find a place for you to sit, and they'll sit and pray, or if you just want to tell them you're grateful for something, they'll share your gratitude as well. I just have a few announcements. Next week we have Joy Katzen-Gertford, and she is a musician, and she'll sit at the piano, and she'll sing, and she'll laugh, and she'll talk, and she's just wonderful. She's very energetic, and a little different service than what we've had the past couple of weeks, so I look forward to seeing her. And then we are looking for board members. If that's something you're interested in, you can speak with a board member, which we have a couple here today, about getting an application. It's in the newsletter. Everything you need to know is in the newsletter. And there's some information that if you would like more of that, you can also see me, and I'll make sure you get the information if you're interested in that. We do send out the newsletter once a week. If you're not receiving it, I ask that you fill out the yellow slip that's in the pew in front of you. And fill that out. Just put your email on there, and that way you'll get a weekly, sometimes more than once. But it keeps you updated with everything that's going on. And you can just throw those yellow cards right to the offertory basket. Do we have any new visitors here today? Yay! Welcome, welcome. There's a little bit of information about us, Unity of Port Richey, and also about Unity in general. So, welcome, thank you, and I'd love to meet you guys after service. Okay, now it's time for our offertory. I get my ushers to come up front as we affirm our affirmation. If you would say with me, please. In deep gratitude, I give way to the limitless flow of prospering substance. I am blessed with all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and the blessings are multiplied. Thank you, God.
I am so glad, I am so glad, I am
right, will you join me in blessing the offering? All right, so I got to be careful not to trip on this. It's tripped me my whole life. I don't need it to do today. Exactly, yep. Does it come up here? Yep, okay, cool. All right. So as we go into this time of prayer, I just want you to think about this example or this expression of abundance, where it came from, and the amazing flow of life that it is. Yes, you brought it here today, but it was earned or given to you, and it was earned and given by somebody else, by somebody else, by somebody else. When you think about it, like, money is an energy that just flows, and it is such an amazing demonstration of this unity principle of abundance, an abundant life. So, Mother, Father God, we thank you so much for this amazing blessing today. We're grateful for the opportunity to use it to not only nourish our spiritual community and each other, but also to go out into our community and blesses our community, our cities, our state, our country, and the world. We're so grateful for this church and for all of the givers, whether they're here today or not, and for all of those who came before us and built this facility and kept it going for 50-something years. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. So it is. Amen.
I would also quickly just have a couple more announcements. We are having a What is Unity class. So if becoming a board member is something you're interested in, or you would just like to become a member of Unity, or you just want to learn more about Unity, all of the above, this information is in the lobby. You can either be in person or Zoom, and there's no cost, no book, anything's required. Just take a slip with you and be present on the days that you choose to be on. So we welcome you. We welcome everyone. So it's a good opportunity. And even if you are a member, take the class. Learn a little more. There might be something that you didn't know before about Unity. I know I'll be taking it. So, and I want to remind everybody that Monday is Martin Luther King Day. And in celebration of that, there's a church down the street that will be doing a march. That information is in the lobby as well. Anything that's going on, I try to post out there in the lobby, but as well, it does go out in the newsletter. So thank you. And now, if we'd like to thank you guys for being here, again, weathering the cold and coming out, because this is what makes us family, is being together. I mean, you can watch online, but it's not the same as being here with us. So I encourage everyone to be here with us. Thank you for coming. And now, if you'd like to stand and sing the peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be a new trajectory of my life, and let it be lived with me. Will you join me in unity prayer for protection? The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever I am, God is, and I am divine. So it is, everyone. Have a happy week. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for joining us today. Have a happy Sunday.